Today what we're going to do is we're going to create drawings on layout. We're going to take parts that we've done in SketchUp and put them into a program called Layout. And first you have to have a part that you want to put into Layout. We're going to use our Shapes with Hidden Lines from page 4 in the Views packet. I opened up my first shape. It's all drawn. It's to scale. It has the ISO, top, front, and side views already saved as scenes. That will be useful as well. So now I'm going to open up a program called Layout. You go to Start All Programs, Google SketchUp 8 folder, and click on Layout. Once you have Layout started, it's going to ask you to pick a template or a title block file. So I'm going to go under my default templates, click on Title Block, and there's a lot of different styles of title block. It doesn't really matter which style you pick. There's just different artistic styles of how you want a title block. A title block is basically a heading for your drawing, like a heading in your essay, where you have your name, date, period, all that information. I'm going to just pick contemporary. You could pick another style if you want. The important part is the size. We want to pick letter landscape. Letter is 8.5 by 11 so that it will print out. And landscape is the horizontal instead of the portrait vertical up and down. So I'm going to click on letter landscape. I'm going to open, and it's going to open up my title block, and it's blank. I haven't put anything on. And if I zoom in over here where it says your name, I don't want it to say your name. I want it to actually say my name. So I'm going to try to double click, and I cannot edit your name. The reason why is it's because it's on a separate layer. So on the right over here where you have your trays, you're going to go to the expand the pane called Layers right over here, and you'll see there's a bunch of layers similar as SketchUp. For each layer there's a lock. I forgot what layer the heading is or the title block is on, so I'm just going to unlock all of the layers. Now all the layers are unlocked. Now if I click on your name, it actually lets me change it. So I'm going to change it to my name, Mr. Kaiser. You're going to put your first and last name. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the page, and there's some more information that we want to edit, including the month, day, and year. So I'm going to type in today's date as for the date, and under project location, usually if you're a company, this would be where you're building the building, but in this case I want you to put your class, architectural design, and period, this is period 2. And for the project title, you're going to make 2 projects. The first one will be your page for hidden lines from the Views packet, so I'm just going to call it whoops. Let me try that again. I'm going to double click and click on Views, Packet, Hidden Lines. That's the first one we'll do. Then we'll do the 3D models from Views later on. And lastly, I want every model to be on a different page. So when I scroll over here under page description, we're going to start with model number 1. Now, if you ever click on the item like that and you hit delete by accident and it erases, you can edit, undo if you want. You could also add in your own text block. It lets you put in your own text block wherever you want. So I'm going to zoom out again. So hopefully you're at this point where you have your title block all ready to go. Now we're going to actually enter in our model, insert our model. So we're going to go to File on the Layout menu at the top, and we're going to select Insert. Now you're going to go to your folder where you have the shapes with the hidden lines, and you're going to open up the first one, number 1. Now, if by chance you don't have them, you can use the one as an example that I have. It's under Instructor, Architectural Design, Assignments and Project, Drafting Exercises, Views Packet. There it is. Shapes of Hidden Lines, number 1. So I'm going to open it up. So once you insert your part, you'll see it right here. The neat thing about this is, unlike PowerPoint where you bring in a picture of the part, this isn't a picture of your part. This is actually a window into the world of SketchUp. In other words, if I double click on this window, I'm actually inside SketchUp. and I can rotate around and zoom out. So kind of trippy. What we're going to do is we're going to create different views for our part. In other words, we're going to have the ISO, front, top, and side views for our part. Total of 4 views. So I'm going to double click outside here to get outside of this part, and now I can move it around. I can also make the window smaller like that. I want to make 4 of them. So to get 4, you can insert it 3 more times, or you can just select it, go copy, and then paste 3 more times. And where are they? They're actually right on top, so I can pull them out. And here are my 4 views. All right. So now that I've inserted my part and I've made 4 views, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the views to the actual thing we want to look at. In other words, this top right one, I want to make that one the ISO view. So I'm going to click on the top right one, right click on it, and go to Scenes, ISO. Now, if you have not saved your scenes, you're in luck. You can also go to Standard Views, ISO, and it'll do the same thing. So if you haven't made your scenes yet, it's okay. You can still get the ISO view. So here's our ISO. And then which one should this one be? Top. Good. So it'll be the top view. So I'll go again to my scenes and select top. And then I'll go to this one and select, which one should this one be? Front. Thank you. And then over here, and I'm going to click on scenes side. Now notice they're different sizes. This one is even off the window, so I have to make the window a little bigger so I can, see it. And it's actually making the object bigger. And I want them all to be the same size. So the next, after we have the front, top, and side views and ISO views, our next goal is to actually make sure that our scenes or our views are all to the same scale. In other words, they're the same size. How do we do that? So I'm going to click on this top view, and I'm going to go on the right where it says Sketchup Model. I'm going to expand this pane, and under the Views tab, there's a description here. It tells you what scene and what view it is, so you can change the scenes here as well. But the scale is what I want to change. So right now, the scale says it's 1 to 2.51956. So that's not a really standard scale. We want to use a standard scale. In other words, 1 inch on the paper, we want it to equal 2 inches in real life. Now, you might have drawn it in feet. In that case, you'll have a different scale than I have. But if you drew your model in inches, you should probably have something similar to this. And I want to pick the closest scale to 1 to 2.5. And in this case, it's 1 to 2. Now, if you don't have a 1 to 2 scale, it's okay. You can do Add Custom Scale, and you'll get a pop-up window like this. And you can put in your pop-up, in your scale box, you could say, I want 1 inch on the paper to be equal to 2 inches in real life. In other words, a 1 to 2 scale. And then go Add Custom Scale, and now you should have that scale. So I'm going to click on the other views and so make sure that they're the same scale. 1 inch equals 2 inch. Click on this one. Make sure it's 1 inch equals 2 inch. And now they're all, and don't worry about the ISO. The ISO doesn't have to be to scale. That's just a drawing to show you what the object looked like. Now they're all 3 to the same scale. Now that we have them to the same scale, I want to do some more cleanup work. One thing I want to do is I don't like it how these views have this colored background. I want it to be nice and clean like this one where it's all white. I already changed this one earlier, but let me change the other one. So how do we change it so it has a white background instead of the colored background? So you click on the view again, and then under Sketchup Model, the Styles tab, you're going to click on this little house button and click on the little drop-down menu, go to Styles, scroll down to where you see Default Styles, double-click on Default Styles, scroll to the very bottom, select Engineering Style, And now, as you see, it won't have the shaded background. So for this model, I also want engineering style, or for this view, so I'm going to click engineering style there and engineering style there again. Okay? So now I have my 3 views. They're just black lines on white paper like I like. This one could be shaded or not. It doesn't matter. I just chose it to be shaded, so it kind of looks nicer. But these should not be shaded. These should be just black on white. And I have my hidden line showing right here as a dashed line as well. One thing we have to make sure of, especially if your model is your views aren't lined up, the important thing is to get your views lined up. So one of the ways to do it is there's a little handle right here. It has a little plus on it. So I'm going to grab that handle and move it to the corner of my object like that. And now when I move my object, excuse me, I can line it up to the corner of the object there. And now I'm making sure that it's lined up. So let me do it for this one. So in other words, if these two were not lined up, how do I get them to line up exactly? I go to the handle, move the handle to the corner, and now when I move my object, I can line it up directly, and I have it lined up. We're almost done. We have one last step before we go to our next ones, and that is to add our dimensions. So I want to make sure that you actually drew this to scale. That's part of the things I'm grading. And if you're giving this to an actual machine shop to manufacture this object, they need to know the size of your object. You have your front, top, and side views, a little ISO view to kind of show what the object looks like. Now we got to add the dimensions. So up here, there's a dimensions button. If you click on that, you're going to add some important dimensions. I always start with the front view. I'm going to add, that's 4 inches. You might have 4 feet, depending, or 4 millimeters, whatever units you used. This one's 6. Okay. Maybe I'll add some dimensions in here, like that's 4. I could also add that's 1 inch as well. Do I have to add that this one's 1 right here? No, because we know the whole thing is 6. So if that's 1 and that's 4, this one has to be 1. Okay? So you try not to use redundant dimensions, but you want to add all new dimensions. So we haven't shown that the part is 5 inches. We haven't shown that how deep this is yet, so I can show that. And over here, we haven't shown the depth of the cut right here. So I believe these are all the dimensions that we used to create the part. I might be missing one. If you're missing 1 or 2, don't worry. This is the first time we're kind of doing dimension views, and I'll help you out with it. I just want you to get some practice on adding the dimensions. So our part is now complete. Make sure you save it. And I want to show you one cool thing actually before we start on page 2 is if you go back to your SketchUp part and you actually change something in SketchUp. In other words, I'm going to grab this and pull it out like this so it's wrong. I'm going to save my part again and go to my layout view and then select any of my views, right click, go update reference, and it actually checks my saved file, and now it's updating my drawing. So as you notice, it updates the drawings based on the SketchUp changes. So once you make your drawing, you can always still make changes in SketchUp and update your layout, and it'll fix those changes. So you don't have to redo your layout file. That makes it really nice. Once you're done with this page, you're going to go to Pages and click on the cover page. I'm going to delete the cover page. We don't need it. And I'm going to create 5 more pages because we have pages for each one of our models. I'm going to rename this one model number 1 and then go to the next page and change that one to model number 2. And then for model number 2, we're going to start over just like we did model number 1. We're going to File, Insert, and insert our next model. and eventually you'll have 6 pages in one layout file. Make sure to save it with your last name, comma, first name, and you can call it hidden lines views or something like that. Thank you very much.